Welcome to Free Range with Gail of Gaia. Today's guest, Maryam Henein. Maryam is an investigative journalist and functional medicine consultant. As founder and editor-in-chief of HoneyColony, an online magazine for health and wellness, she shares her wisdom with thousands of followers. She's also the director of the award-winning documentary film Vanishing of the Bees, narrated by Ellen Page. Topics she's qualified to speak on include COVID-19, insider facts, PCR tests, false positives, and more. Big tech, big pharma, collusion, and censorship. The politics of CBD in a techno-fascist age. CBD, the health benefits, the vaccine controversy, our food supply, nutrition, organic food, and so much more. Put your feet up and settle in for an amazing show. And now, here's Gail of Gaia.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, and I have a very interesting guest today. Her name is Maryam Henein. I knew I was going to mess it up. Anyway, she's a wonderful lady. She has done so much for the planet. I am so proud to be able to have her here, and why don't you give us a little description of all the things you've done? I was just amazed, and it's wonderful. So tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you for having me. I got the goosebumps. I am an investigative journalist of 25 years. I'm a functional medicine consultant and coach. I'm best known for directing the documentary film Vanishing of the Bees. I've been covering big pharma, big ag for 12 years. I'm a censored individual. For instance, I'm in YouTube jail right now. And I have a throat chakra that's on fire and lots of information to give. I'm in service to the truth. I'm in service to freedom of speech and medical freedom and our constitutional rights. I come from Montreal, Canada. I've been in Los Angeles for 23 years, and I've been hiding out from the Rona in Costa Rica, which I've visited many times for the past 6 months.
Wow, that's awesome. So I noticed that in one of the articles that they had said one of the things is big agriculture, big pharma, FDA. We were going to talk a little bit about the Quack Hack. Mm-hmm. What exactly is that? I mean, I know the FDA used to always shut down people. I'm no friend of the FDA. As a nutritionist, that's my background. Yes. I saw what they were doing a long time ago, many years ago. And what people forget is they are a big business for profit, and they are owned by a lot of big pharma companies or big ag companies, either one. So anyway.
Yeah, it's one and the same. And right now you can also argue that big tech is big pharma. So I'm also no friend of the Fraud and Death Association. I guess I was put on the map after blowing the whistle on Bayer crop science and their systemic pesticides.
I'm sorry if there's noises in the background because...
Okay, it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. So I guess I became a target, arguably, after making Vanishing of the Bees and blowing the whistle on Bayer, that is now has absorbed Monsanto. They're one in the same now. When I was making the film, I was told to watch my tires. In any case, also after making Vanishing of the Bees, I'm also an entrepreneur, and I launched HoneyColony, which is an online magazine and marketplace that's really was in the future and covering things from a biohacking, functional medicine point of view. I myself have reversed lupus and fibromyalgia over 6 years. So we we launched HoneyColony, and then in 2016 we started selling our own CBD oil, and that's when I became familiar with what I have popularized the term called Technofascism. So in
I
2016,
like that.
long before Martha Stewart and Kim Kardashian were selling CBD, because today everyone and their mama is making CBD, but we make a liposomal organic CBD with Chinese herbs. We started getting shut down by all the mainstream processors, so PayPal, QuickBook, Square, Stripe, on and on. And we were going to make, from 2015 to 2016, our revenue jumped from 200,000 to $1 million. We were projected to make 3 million in 2017, but instead I call it the year of playing whack-a-mole, because we got shut down. And instead we lost 250,000. My employees at the time, who I later got rid of, took out predatory loans because we had lost so much money. And then they were taking out, these predatory loans were taking out $1,500 a day, 5 days a week. Back then we were making $1,500 a day. So long story short, I am a digital nomad. I've been traveling for the past 10 years, building my company from different parts of the world. I was living in Greece for 4 years, 4 months out of the year. I was in Ikaria, which is a blue zone, and I was helping Jason Prawl in whatever little way in his series on human longevity. They left, I stayed, and eventually I came back to LA, and my employees shut down our bank account without my permission, even though my mentor who's consulting us told us that we would suffer from liens. I didn't even know what a lien was. I was so naive. And I came back and basically spent 1.5 years trying to save my company from these predatory loans and from all the gobs of money. And the average person would have filed bankruptcy, would have given up. I was told to stop selling CBD. And I said, no, I'm not doing anything wrong. So after that, we were getting 500,000 unique visitors a month, which, I don't have VC investment, just created the company from scratch, and 500,000 unique visitors is a lot and is wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
And then we were victim of Google's Medic update. So they have algorithmic changes, and this Medic update, it was dubbed Medic update because it impacted a lot of health-oriented sites, including Dr. Mercola and Green Med Info and Sayer. But Sayer and Mercola have big followings, and we were just getting started. So we lost 76% of our traffic. So I started looking into Google, and this was July of last year, and I found out that Google is a drug company. And I found out that they were involved in the decade of vaccines. And I've been involved in covering vaccine safety for many, many years now, and have said long before now that, we're all speaking about this horrid mRNA, this RNA vaccine that's never been used. But I've said for a long time, this is the most controversial topic of our era. And so when I found out that they were involved in the decade of vaccines, I was horrified. And I then came across Zach Vorhies, the Google whistleblower. This was, it will be September 11th that we met in person. And I reached out to him because I wanted to see if he could cement any of my findings, and actually told him that Google's a drug company. And I didn't know that he was so knowledgeable. He's a brilliant young man, and geeks out also on health and biohacking, and we hit it off and did a 4-part series. Anyway, fast forward to the Rona that we had collaborated, and he was employed or independently by Alex Jones, and I suggested that we do a man on the street on the coronavirus, and this was January, way before most started covering it. And I said in the segment, I called this the virus that didn't cry wolf. And
that's cute. We left off with you talking about Google being a drug company, which would really surprise people. I would think.
Yeah. So let me break it down. Well, there's a story that I wrote that went viral on the Epoch Times about Google, and Google parent company is Alphabet, and it has subsidiaries like Verily and Calico, and they are in bed with Big Pharma. They've now the second, I believe, biggest lobbyist because they get their money from Big Pharma. And so they have all these initiatives, you know, for instance, they bought Fitbit for billions, where they're accessing data, and as we move towards the Internet of Things. So I mentioned that they're involved, I believe the company is Oxitec, involved in the decade of vaccines. I'd have to pull up my story for the absolute details, but I started talking about, I was rereading 1984, and wow, now look at where we are, where, you know, even as we're there. And when Roseanne Barr and Alex Jones were voted off the island, and I was fighting for them and standing for them, and they're like, "You're a Roseanne Barr fan? I'm a freedom of speech fan." And I said, Roseanne today, you tomorrow. So if you stand for the truth, well, you're going to, you know, look at what they're doing now. As I mentioned off air, that Facebook is paying people to stay off, to log off of their account until after the elections. So in regards to Google, they do not use organic searches. It's all auto suggestions. You can look it up. Auto suggestions, I minored in psychology, is a simple but very powerful mind control tactic. So when it comes to health and well-being, all of these, there's no more organic searches. So if you were to do supplements are, and you just type in supplements are, it'll come up supplements are dangerous, supplements are not FDA approved, on and on. And this impacts your perception. If you're not given all the information, then you don't have the full picture, and your viewpoints on the world are skewed, are myopic. And so they're burying websites. So unless you know about HoneyColony, which it's not a household, I mean, there's people that still don't even know who Dr. Mercola is. And so, let alone HoneyColony or a little bee like myself. So if you don't put HoneyColony, you won't come up. But back in the good old days, we were following SEO practices, and we were all trained. I trained my editorial team to write with SEO in mind, with keywords in mind that were low competition, high search. So we had, in a lot of instances, before we created our own product line, we were outdoing the companies we were selling. So they didn't like that because they saw us as competition, which is one of the many reasons why we created our own products. But so if you're looking for cancer cures, if you're looking for anything these days, I mean, Google is trash. I don't use Google. I personally use Quant and Swiss Cows and Bing, and I do various searches. And so when I met Zach Vorhies, the Google whistleblower, he was able to cement a lot of my findings because he also had an interest in health, and he found a blacklist which had keywords that included, let's say, cancer cures. And I remember going to a biohacking event, which I've covered, Dave Asprey's biohacking conference, and Dr. Mercola was there. And I'm friendly with Erin Elizabeth, his partner of Health Nut News. And I went, Dr. Mercola gave a talk on 5G, which is what the code word. You can hopefully decode what I'm saying. And Google. He was inviting the hundreds of people in the audience to boycott Google, which even to me at the time seemed outlandish. I was the only one, he told me, that went to talk to him about technofascism, and I shared with him my term that I've now heard other people use. He said I was the only one. Anyway, so the takeaway here is that Google and YouTube, which is Google,
takes their direction from the World Hoax Organization, which is China. And so, for instance, Susan Wojcicki gave a interview with Leslie Stahl, is it, of 60 Minutes, saying that they will crack down on things such as vitamin C, turmeric, link between vaccine and autism. Now, after covering technofascism and writing a series of stories like Dr. Google Will See You Now, I covered Samoa, and Zach did as well. And I witnessed my perspective, or my POV, was I was trying to find what vaccine they were dumping on the Samoans, given that MMR2 has been in the courts for a decade. And so I called Merck, and I got on the Merck merry-go-round because nobody would give me a straight answer. And I called the Samoan government. I don't know many people that called the Samoan government, but I got them on tape. And I witnessed 200,000 people getting mass vaccinated in a month. And they made a law called the Law of Love. And the Law of Love is telling parents that the government has jurisdiction over their children. And based on 7 cases, they called a state of emergency. And really, it was a test run, a successful one. The drug, the vaccine that I did confirm was being used was from a company, a pharmaceutical company in India, which, big surprise, Bill Gates had his paws, because I play this sick game called Where's Waldo, but it's Where's Bill Gates and his man sweaters. And he's involved in so many things, and who the hell made this guy authority? He's not a doctor. So
he has a lot of money, and that's what does it.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Absolutely. So just to finish up that, many of us, like Dr. Sherry Tenpenny.
Oh, I like her. Yes.
Yeah, she's a brilliant rock star. We felt that something was coming. We thought it was Ebola. I also manifested an Ebola whistleblower, Jane Burgermeister. I literally told the universe, I want to find, like, please, if you have dirt, I don't care. I will put my name on it. A lot of people don't want to put their name, but I think we should call on more whistleblowers, not faux whistleblowers. But so I met Jane Burgermeister virtually, and she was blowing the whistle. She also thought it was Ebola. She's covered Ebola. She blew the whistle on Baxter and their tainted vaccines. So anyway, then Zach and I did a man on the street in January. I called it, is this the virus that didn't cry wolf? And then we thought it was real. For 72 hours, we went into this dark place where we were digesting fear porn, arguably from Taiwan, coming out of Wuhan, and left to go to Costa Rica. Zach returned 2 months ago, and I've been here. And I've spent since January every single day, all day, doing research on this coronavirus. And many of us, I think we're the silenced majority, see what's happening. It's amazing because many people didn't see what was happening with AIDS and HIV, the same crap that Fauci was rolling out.
Yes,
so
Judy
anyway,
Mikovits. Yeah.
Yes, we interviewed Dr. Mikovits.
So did
Plague
I.
of Corruption, and she's brilliant.
Yes,
and she was in Plandemic, and Mickey Willis, my friend, directed the film. I contributed it in a small way to a footage research on Fauci and Bill Gates. I found 2 lawsuits involving Fauci, the fraud. I call him the Plandemic impresario.
Evil to the core. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Bald-faced liar.
Liars.
I print that a lot on my Facebook page. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Yeah, Pinocchio.
Yeah.
I live in Twitterville, and I love that platform, even though Jack doesn't love me. And I would arguably have a lot more followers if I wasn't censored and shadow banned, because I don't think I'm missing anything to be an influencer. but I am censored. And I shared, for instance, Fauci gave an interview with Matthew McConaughey. All right. And Matthew, who's part of the Fauci gang, because Fauci has a fan club, believe it or not, and has time to do a spread for InStyle while meanwhile he's enslaving humans. So Matthew asked him about zinc. Do you know, Gail, that he didn't even repeat the word zinc? He said what you're talking about. He wouldn't even repeat it. There's no acknowledgement that we have an immune system. He actually did this and said it's all placebo and it's all in your head. Nobody in this COVID-19 task force has mentioned immune system. No one has mentioned vitamins. The only person who has is President Trump. He's the only one who mentioned zinc.
And they jumped all over him about everything that he said, and it was perfectly legitimate. When he brought up the chloride too, the MMS.
HCQ, yes.
Both of them. Yeah, then he was accused of telling people to drink bleach. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And
he also the light with the sunlight, sorry.
Yeah, yes, I agree. No, it's just terrible what's going on. The censorship has gone, it's getting way out of hand. And the total blatant lies that they're coming out with, and they're saying that he said, and, you know, and then I wasn't aware that they were shutting down companies that offer alternative health matters to this Rona thing, which is a big hoax.
Let me get to the Operation Quack Hack.
Okay, yes, please.
Sorry, so that was all kind of paving the way to Operation Quack Hack. As you know, as many people know, the attack on natural remedies has been long in the works. They've suicided 80 plus doctors, right?
Yes.
That have stood for all the cures having to do with cancer. And we can't say the C word, which is cure, not another C word.
It's patented or it's copyrighted from what I understand. That's why we can't use it.
Really?
Yeah, Dr. Young said that. I'm going to find out. I didn't get a chance to find out who did that, but I'm going to find out. But it's copyrighted.
Yeah, I'd like to know if that's the case. So,
I'll find out.
As we know with the coronavirus, we talk about the COVID pass, which is going to be the digital certificate passport, but it's a COVID pass in the sense of like they're ushering in whatever the hell that, and I say the word hell because this is all satanic and evil. Pharmacia means sorcery. So they are ushering in whatever they want under the coronavirus. In fact, I'm reading the Global Reset by Schwab, who's part of the World Economic Forum. And listen to this, Gail. They say, forget about BC standing for before Christ and AC after Christ. Mm-hmm. They're now saying that it's before Corona and after Corona.
Oh, no. Oh, that's disgusting.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
So, under the coronavirus, they launched Operation Quack Hack. Operation Quack Hack was launched in March, although there's no press release.
Yeah, I didn't hear of it. I hadn't heard of it before.
No.
I know that, the FDA, because I was a nutritionist, they've been a thorn in our side forever as far as any kind of supplements go. But quack, they had some other kind of quack thing that they used to do, but this is a new one.
Yeah, so Quack Hack, I mean, we're living in a world of projections where the left arguably, or the deep state, everything that they're doing, they project and they say that others are doing. That's what they're doing with Trump, whether it's all political theater as far as President Trump goes. You have to entertain that possibility, given that it's politics and could be political theater. But with Operation Quack Hack, I arguably got caught in the crosshairs when they came after Alex Jones. Now, I've been watching AJ, for more than a decade, since 9/11. And I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and he's done some excellent journalism. Mm-hmm. So when we did the Man on the Street, Zach and I actually plugged AJ's silver. And because Zach brought me on. He's the one who had the gig. So I didn't plug because I make a 4,000 ppm chelated silver. That's
awesome.
amazing. Yeah, it's awesome. And it's kept me off of antibiotics for almost a decade, which has been a miracle in my life. And so what happens is oftentimes they write a smear piece, and then the smear piece justifies their anonymous tip. So Alex got caught when he had Mark Grenon of Genesis Church on. And because Mark, who's in jail right now, and his sons are in jail.
Still?
Yeah, still. The sons have been in jail since July 8th without bail, so more than 2 months. I just asked the wife yesterday, again, I've been publishing updates from Mark, because Mark, he says most people can't use the C word. Well, he drops the C word all day long, and people have disclaimers. He has a proclaimer. So he was on Alex Jones, and Alex actually didn't even didn't publish, took the video offline and didn't even put it on banned because Mark was brazen. And arguably, I got caught in the crosshairs. I interviewed one person who wished to remain anonymous, and I did a preliminary phone call. Well, an hour later, 5 FDA agents showed up at this person's door, and they confiscated. So imagine having masked men show up at your door, seize your computer, seize your phone, seize silver, seize a notebook. And then when I called the person again, and she was relaying this information, as we are talking, they get an email that says, "We are watching you." She had never heard of this person. She doesn't know who they are. "We are watching you. Stop effing talking about your supposed miracle cures." So then I got a letter. The person who makes my CBD told me that I got a letter. And then I had to abide by their requests, which my transgression was publishing a story where I say the best way to deal with the Rona is prevention. So you cannot use the word prevention anymore. They want to completely make human beings forget, and people are buying it hook, line, and hook, line, and what's the word?
Sinker.
The sinker. That we do not have an immune system, and that the only C word is a vaccine. So I'm part of Operation Quack Hack. There was a story in USA Today that arguably got 1 million views last week that named me, quoted me, and the next day I woke up, and I literally woke up and went to publish something on YouTube and found out that I was thrown in jail, and I get out of jail on September 10th, which is tomorrow. So that's Operation Quack Hack, where their hack means that they use the word disrupt. They have license to disrupt businesses. So a fellow silver seller was in business for 23 years, woke up and was disabled at the server level. So imagine waking up and your site, your business of 23 years is gone, poof, like that. And you're called, so when you do a Google search, if you do a Google search, the FDA letter comes up second for my company, HoneyColony.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's absolutely unbelievable. The amount of censorship, the amount of what are they afraid of? They want total and complete control of everyone and everything that they do. And it's very disturbing.
Yeah, and it's not only happening in the realm of health. I have a colleague who's a conservative who was organizing a protest against Antifa, and he lost his job, Gail. He was fired, and then there were smear pieces written about him, so that if you do a Google search, shit comes up against him. So it's happening in all forms to, and what do you do? What do you do if you don't have people such as yourself to give me a voice and to be able to spread truth, because like you said, there's no stopping truth, then what do? I am reliant on my fellow truthers, on my colleagues. I've been around for a long time. I was called a has-been. I'm not a has-been.
No.
I have staying power.
Oh, you
there's
certainly
nothing
do.
has been about me. My message is not stale. I'm not stale.
No. No. I've looked at your site, and I've looked at your background, and I've looked at the things you've done, and you have done amazing things. And it is absolutely criminal in my mind that they're censoring you, that they're shutting down your site or your YouTube channel, and so on. This has just got to stop. I don't know how to stop it, though. I'm happy that there was a Google whistleblower. At least that that helps a lot. But
yes, and he, even like I take an informal poll, and people have not heard of him. I mean, obviously he's not censored, very minimally for whatever reason. But even like when he tweets something of mine, it helps put me on the map. And I've been very grateful and blessed that I've had amazing people such as yourself, such as, Charlene Bollinger, such as Mike Adams, give me a voice, many others, because together, that is the only way, right? Like now we're seeing a muzzle mask burning parties or in other parts of the world. And alone, I don't think that we stand a chance.
No, we don't. We need to unify, especially those of us who are light workers, truthers, light warriors, whatever you want to call us. We stand and are in service to the truth and to humanity. And they are doing everything they can to stop us.
Yeah, they're desperate.
Yeah. Well, they won't win. We already won. It doesn't look like it, but we just got to get through this and keep plugging away. We need more people to have the guts to stand up, the fortitude to say, this isn't right. This has got to stop.
Yeah, and what is surprising is that, like, even on my Facebook, where supposedly there are people that they know my work, they know my movie, I am a credible human being, and here I am trying to liberate people from this real virus of fear and hate, and say, hey, for a hot minute, I thought the face diapers did something, but then I looked at the micron size of the virus. I looked at the face. I looked at the science, and I'm dedicated to the truth. You can change your mind, but instead, there's this cognitive dissonance where, like, people are calling me a racist. People who know me. Oh, hello. I'm brown, by the way. If you haven't noticed, I'm brown. So why are you calling me a racist? Calling me a religious zealot? Telling me I'm a MAGA supporter? Well, you know what? I was in the political closet for a long time, and maybe this is all political theater, but I vote Trump because I vote.
Same
these
here.
are the patriots.
Same here.
Yeah, it's called hashtag walk away. I call them demon rats. I am disgusted by it's the level of hate, and it's very contagious, hate and fear. But that is what I walked away. I don't want to have anything to do, because you guys are not looking at what's really happening, that we're ushering in communism, and this is a game of divide and conquer, and us as humanity, and I'm all for individualism. I'm not for hegemony, just making everyone the same. But together we stand united, and it's the human race against, arguably, these people are not human. They don't bleed red. I don't know what they are.
I have thought exactly the same thing, but I also read recently something about the Chinese army were actually robots, so who knows?
Really?
Yeah.
They might as well be,
maybe
right?
Maybe not all of them, but...
you mean drones? Like, not drones, like actual androids?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, they might as well be. They're dehumanized.
Exactly.
You know, early on, Gail, what really disturbed me was when I was catching the spitters in Wuhan, and all this footage, because I would scan the person, right, as an intuitive human that is empathic, and I would be like, this is not human. They're in the elevator, for instance, and they're spitting on shit. Excuse my language. And
That's okay.
and there's something very very disembodied. Let's call it that. There's a lot of disembodied. Helen of Destroy, who is a genius and a fellow journalist, calls them pod people. That people seemingly have vacated their bodies.
Mm-hmm. There's no soul. Do
you find that?
There. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No soul there. Sometimes you can see it in their eyes.
Yeah.
But something's up that's nobody's really aware of. But I think we're going to find out. The more we find out, the more. I mean, even us that are awake are probably going to be surprised at some of the things we find out. But it's absolutely mandatory that we do. And
but all bets are off. Meaning anything is possible. Nothing surprises me because, I was raised Christian. I'm not religious. I've definitely turned to God lately more so. I've been on a spiritual path since I was 13. This is spiritual warfare. Mm-hmm. But really coming to terms with the level of evil is a hard pill to swallow. And I'm sad that the cognitive dissonance or the ego, which disallows people to say, wow, I got it wrong. I've been fooled, and I feel like saying, in the name of Lord, I break this spell. I break this spell now.
It's like a hypnotic spell. It is. And I'm wondering, I really, I've seen also some reports about how they've actually had patents on ways from the TV to you to be able to program your mind. And that is the only way that I can see or understand how people can be so hateful. It's like it's somehow they are managing to light up that area of anger in the brain. You see people that you just mention the name Trump and they go into a hateful tirade. What is going on there?
Yeah, and we need to be careful, or I'll speak for myself, not to have that same hate towards Biden or Kamala or Bill Gates or Fauci. And that's what I mean when it's highly infection, the hate and the fear. I mean, I remember Kaylee, I was watching Presser with the press secretary, and she cut away to this woman in Portland who was wishing death on the officers and their family. And in that moment, I would have killed her. I mean, I wanted to pounce on her, and I caught myself, and I'm like, no, Maryam, like, you cannot harbor that hate and that fear, because it does not serve you, and then you become the very thing that we do not want to emulate. And that is the real spiritual work. And it's like, it's not enough people are talking about spiritual warfare. And let's face it, like today I was watching the Presser with Kaylee, and they keep on railing on Trump, right? That he says it's going to just...
they're endless. Yeah, she does a really good job, though.
She's excellent.
Yeah.
She's excellent, but it's still political theater, because instead, like, President Trump will say, the more people you test, the more positives. Well, you're missing a key thing here. The fact that they're false positives.
Exactly.
The fact that the PCR test is not a diagnostic tool. The end. That's where it should end. The end. Oh, the models were fudged. Neil Ferguson was taking directives from Bill Gates, his funding from Bill Gates, where he projected 200 million, which set and the thing is this, it's an exaggerated. I mean, the people like John Rappaport do not think there is no virus. Then there are people, I will say, okay, there's a virus. Coronavirus is a family. But what happens?
It's been around for years.
What happens when this becomes real? Because my theory back in January was, one, Charles Lieber. Where are you, Charles Lieber? You nanoscientist. I was saying, and I still say, in Wuhan, we know that it was a smart city. In China, we know that there's mandatory vaccines. We know that there's a study that came out in Italy where they looked at adjuvants, and there was unidentifiable nanoparticles. So what if there was something parlaying a vaccine, parlaying with the Cinco Geo, and that it made people become really ill. Let's just entertain that possibility, because we do know that while the lockdowns are happening, or part of the reasons for the lockdowns is they're Cinco Geoing everything. Even here, Gail, on the Caribbean side, they are testing Cinco Geo. And they are putting it on for 10 days and then taking it off and then seeing who's sick, and they're doing experiments. And people are sick. And I lived across the street from a Cinco Geo in Beechwood, California, and I was dealing with mold toxicity. Well, Dr. Klinghardt, who's a brilliant functional medicine.
Yes, he's awesome.
He did a study that had a Faraday cage, and it showed in close proximity, one petri dish had a Faraday cage, another one, and they had mold spores, because there's the mold and then there's the spores, and the mycotoxins released are dead, but deadlier than the actual mold. So in close proximity to EMFs, it released mycotoxins at an increased rate of 600 times.
600 times, yes. I've heard that figure before, yes. And so we have an issue with frequency. And that reminds me of all the satellites, the space junk that Elon Musk is putting up in the atmosphere.
30,000 a month.
And how do we know? I mean, supposedly, we're supposed to believe that the covfefe, which is a Tesla technology, is supposed to be implemented to counteract 5G hazards to the human body. Well, what about all the stuff up in space? All they have to do is, send it down to the population wherever they want from those satellites. How do you counteract that? We don't know that there's any covfefe on those satellites up in space, do we?
I didn't hear about the covfefe being. Say that again. What are you saying that it means?
It's covfefe. I think that it creates a magnetic field that supposedly reduces any kind of hazards from 60 gigahertz, okay? Because that is, the 5G, I'll just say it. I hate that, having to try to, use all these different words in order to get past that. Yeah, Cinco Geo. Okay, I guess I should have said that. I'm just not familiar with that one until you said it.
Yeah, anyway. It's my own original.
So how this was something that was purported that it's Tesla technology that counteracts the ill effects of the Cinco G. Is that what you said?
Cinco Geo, yeah.
Cinco Geo. Okay. That's a new one.
Cinco in Spanish. Cinco is just, and then Geo is G in Spanish.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. I don't know Spanish. I wish I did, but I don't. Yeah. But anyway, that's good. That's good. Okay. So anyway, that's a major problem. It's just like you said, as far as the mold goes, it's not just the mold, but the bacterial growth will, it
excites your body.
Yeah.
It excites viral load. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but when I was living across the street from a Cinco Geo pole, and I got Mercola recommended a certain meter, and I went across the street to check it. And of course, I would turn off my Wi-Fi at night, but then I was surrounded by this barrage of Wi-Fi that my Epstein-Barr viral load was off the charts. And I was living in a tent. And I also was experiencing a lot of negative thoughts. I was having heart palpitations, which could have been from the mold, because mold is no joke, and it's a neurotoxin.
Yeah, I know. I was in a house with black mold. It's bad.
Yeah,
I got out of there.
So bad. Lots of people don't recover. So I was, and then when I spoke to my mentor, he's like, "Do you know what the 3 psychological? It's depression, it's anxiety." And I don't know, another one, paranoia, I don't know, depression. Anyway, it's not good. And my girlfriend,
Maybe
Maybe
it's maybe. Okay.
well, anxiety, panic, anyway, no,
Depression.
negative stuff. And my girlfriend is also a sensitive, also a brilliant journalist, also contributed, wrote the film Plandemic, wrote the script.
Oh,
And
wow.
she was my neighbor, Danny Katz, and she moved too, and she also told me that it was super, super toxic. She did an ayahuasca ceremony and purged it and acknowledged how negative it was. So imagine when they turn, my point all of this was, what if this does become real? Because I think there's a soft culling for, the elderly,
Yes.
the prisoners, well, the
Yes.
nursing homes, because when you saw Patient Zero in Washington, home of Billy Boy Gates, and then 2 weeks later, we were introduced with community spread, like magic. How did it happen in the prisons? Through the plexiglass? How? Was it the prison? Like, how? I would just want to know. And I was saying that the hospitals were empty, the nursing homes, there was some effery going on. I actually called nursing homes in Quebec, in New Jersey, in New York. Clink, 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 as soon as I said I'm a journalist. Hospitals, you could tell they're empty. They're telling people not to come. Electives are off. But then you drive by and you see a testing outside and you think it's overflowing, but it's not. So what if, and also the low-hanging fruit, aside from the prisoners and the nursing homes and the homeless shelters, is Black lives. They matter, all right, because you're making money off of them. It's Tuskegee experiment, what's happening in Africa with the vaccines. They care about the Black lives. And then there's George Floyd, who's a multi-layered psyop, and said, I can't breathe 11 times, just like Eric Garner in 2014, before he ever hit the ground, and he has to hit the ground. And then you have people in their muzzles with I can't breathe on it. It's a joke. They're laughing at us, Gail.
I know. It makes me sick. Not all of us are ignorant to what's going on. And they act like that we are. But then they censor us so we can't get the people that we need to wake up, to really wake up. It's, I don't know what to do. It's very frustrating at times.
We don't know. Many of us don't know what to do. I wanted to just share that on September 9th, which is today, that in Costa Rica, they made the face diaper mandatory. Now, up until today, many of the Costa Ricans were wearing these face shields. So I had told my friend, and he thought I was compliant, and I said, at least you can see the face, right?
Yes,
it's not dehumanizing
I hate that you can't. Yeah.
And now you'd have to wear a face shield and the face diaper. So on Sunday, the government did a spot check in Dominical, which is in a beach town that's 20 minutes away from where I am, which is very remote. And they went in surprise, and they check to see if you're wearing your face diaper. Now, if you weren't wearing your face diaper, if one of the employees behind the counter at the deli has asthma, she's not in good health, and she's suffering, they would fine $10,000, and they can arguably take away your license, and it's not easy to get a license. So then everybody's scared, which is fear, which depresses your immune system. But it's like I'm wearing the face diaper because I don't want to endanger this business owner. I know him. And initially he thought it was real, and now he woke up and realized this is less fatal than the flu. But my point is also, what happens if it becomes real, Gail? Because what do they have in store for the great fall, the darkest winter? What do they have in store?
That's what I'm concerned about as well, because, and also, talking about the second wave, I mean, we can make a assumption that people are going to get sick from wearing the mask because they've just depressed their immune system significantly. Are they going to release something else?
Yeah, and also the flu coincides with the corona, and they'll get their proverbial hard-ons.
Yes.
And then you have the Burke's telling people to get a flu vaccine when in reality it exacerbates chances of getting the Rona. And listen, if you are an older person and you already have a comorbidity, and 1 in every 2 people today has a chronic illness, so they've paved the way, I say, to a perfect cytokine storm, then people are vulnerable. And now we have lockdowns that deplete the immune system. We have fear en masse that depletes the immune system. We have these face diapers that deplete the immune system. We already have a sick society where pizza sales are up that deplete the immune system. So we're making where people are getting sicker.
Yep.
So horrible.
It is, and I don't know what the answer is. I wish I had an answer for it. I wish we could wake up more people. I don't know. They seem like they're in a hypnotic trance. They really do. And the cognitive dissonance is major. And we have so much to get through yet. And now they're talking about all kinds of violence breaking out, especially if there is a Trump win, for example.
Hello, everyone. This is Gail of Gaia. I'm the founder and producer of Free Range. I do my best to bring you the best in guests and information that's very relevant to you today. I'm making this short little clip today in order to ask you to please contribute to the channel. I'm not monetized by YouTube. I don't sell any products, and I don't have Patreon. So I depend upon your contributions. And I know everyone's having a tough time, but even a small amount from a number of people would help tremendously. So thank you. Please contribute. And again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I do need your help. Thank you.
Biden yesterday actually said that Trump is the one that wants to defund the police. Really? Really?
The man has dementia. I mean,
It might be an act, though, Gail. It might be an act when he gets trialed for his crimes against humanity. Oh, oopsie, I have dementia.
Oh,
oopsie.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think
they might also swap him out. There's a group of people, which is like, I don't believe that this guy, really? Like,
he molests little girls on stage. That makes me sick. I want to go up there and slap him. I really do. It's very disturbing.
Yeah, it's very disturbing. I call them demon rats. And it's when I went last year to the American Priority Conference, AMP, and it was my first experience with conservatives. And they are the ones that are standing for freedom of speech. They are the ones who are standing for medical freedom. And I was so impressed and touched by them. And I was just like, then I learned about the walkaway movement. And that's why I'm wanting to come back to America, because I want to be part of that event and cover it as a journalist.
Yeah,
I was hoping.
Come back.
Sorry?
I said, we need you. Come back.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. I was hoping to sit on the panel because I am targeted, and I am I have an accredited functional medicine consultant and a real journalist and a targeted individual, and have my company part of Operation Quack Hack. So I would have liked to sit on the panel and be able to speak or moderate or whatever. Just, I'm like a bee. I want to be part of something bigger. The bee, she forages all day long, but she cannot live without her hive for more than 24 hours. And it's difficult, Gail, to, I'm having literal panic attacks. I've had them for the past 2 weeks at the thought of getting on a plane on Saturday, because let's face it, I need to work on triggered, not reacting. I'm very defiant. I'm not an obedient sheep. And I get really triggered, and I'm scared. There's so many unknowns. I'm living in a bubble where there's no shortage of food. This community is not walking around in masks. I'm in the mountains. I chose to come here
place.
because people, there's fresh air. I was at the ocean. I am blessed, and I want to come back here. And I'm not getting a PCR test put up my nostril.
Is that what they're requiring?
Yeah, and in any case, California is not allowed. New York, the second infested state, is allowed, but people don't realize that New York is the number one place where tourists come from. So you have to have a negative PCR test to come in back into the country, to come to Costa Rica, but not, California is not allowed. Now I'm Canadian as well, so I arguably, because things are changing on a daily basis, arguably I could go to Canada, see my parents, quarantine for 2 weeks, but who knows? Like, what is it in Ohio?
I know, it's a risk. It's a risk.
Oh, and Boris Johnson said that gatherings of six or more, 6 or less. Why 6? Why 6? Why
666.
for the Biden? Exactly. Why Biden, his text 03033? Really? That's a devil. That's a satanic number. 333 is associated. I forget the name of the female. It's a female demon.
I know that. I thought it was supposed to be an angel number.
Well, it is an angel number. I mean, just like 13. 13 is a sacred number. 666 is also associated with the sacred feminine. But
they twist it around. It's always the opposite. They always invert it.
Yeah.
Very disturbing.
I mean, just the fact that we're having this conversation, isn't it crazy, Gail?
Yes, it is. It's absolutely insane. Would you be able to drive from Costa Rica to
I
the
could,
United
but
States?
plane is on Saturday. Yes, I could arguably, but I'm not going to drive
It's
alone.
a long drive. But
I'm not doing it alone. I'm not even driving.
Oh, no, that wouldn't be
just-
safe at all. Yeah.
No, I was too scared. Like when Zach left, he wanted me to drive him to San Jose, and I tried to explain to him, I'm sorry, but I don't feel comfortable as I'm a single woman.
Single woman,
I'm a
so am
woman.
I.
Hello.
Hello.
Do you
Right.
not understand? I don't feel safe in these times.
Exactly. I don't either. In fact, the first time in my life, I've thought about actually purchasing a weapon.
Gun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. Yep.
And I'm always against that kind of thing and would
Me too.
hate to have to use it, but it's scary. It's scary. You see what's going on with some of these rioters, grabbing people, pulling them out of their car, beating them up for no reason. There's no excuse for that kind of hatred. None. Something is triggering these people in a very evil and dark way.
Is it frequency waves? What is it? Is it their crap food? Is it a mixture of things?
It's got to be. It's got to be something that's actually targeting, because why? It doesn't affect everybody, so I don't get that.
Well, do you eat GMO foods? No.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Who knows, right?
Yeah, it's true. And then you add the vaccine, and in this way, I get upset with people when they really rag on the younger generation, and I say, look, they are the most poisoned. They have eaten the most GMO foods. They've
Talking about the millennials?
Yeah, gotten the most vaccines, breathing the chemtrails, which have been endless. So they've, in so many ways, have been hit the hardest. It's small wonder that the intelligence level seems to have dropped significantly.
They're the closest thing to androids, and that's why Birx, on many occasions, has talked directly to the millennials. When you find out there's a WikiHow to tell children how to lie to their parents and secretly go and get vaccinated. And then you had this Ohio kid, I forget his name because he's not really memorable, other than he went against his parents vocally and is spewing pro-vaccine stuff. And when you learn that, if you go to my Twitter page, my pinned tweet, I've done a couple of parodies. They created vaccine hesitancy, a condition that doesn't even exist.
Yes.
So I say that they're suffering from vaccine mania and vitriol disorder, VMVD. these people are maniacs. Like I just did a clip on Dr. Esther Chu, who's a social justice doctor, who basically says straight up, we will have to see if people die or not. Okay.
Why don't you be the first one?
Yeah. Well, why don't all these people stand in line? Like, I'm not one to wish death. I'm not into the death penalty. I'm not an eye for an eye kind of chick.
I'm not either.
But I'm all for having these people jabbed.
Yes. Well, they're purporting that it's safe and okay, and they need to be the guinea pig then, if you're so sure that it's so good for you. But I've even seen where there was a actor or actress, I don't remember who it was, but anyway, they pretended to get the shot. Basically, the cap was still. Too. Did you see that one? Yeah.
Well, it wasn't. I don't know who she was, but she wasn't a celebrity that I know. But even if you remember the Oscars, I don't think it was this year. It was the last year. They went around and they faux jabbed the celebrities. They did a whole thing on the flu vaccine, and let's say with the movie Contagion, because I've also been documenting all the things to show people that this was a pandemic, that this has been in the works. Well, when I saw Contagion and I looked into the CDC, I learned that the CDC has a whole wing where they pay their employees to watch soap operas. What? And then, yeah. It's CDC off report. I can share it. I've tweeted about it.
Okay.
Yeah. They pay their employees to watch soap operas. So they're very embedded in Grey's Anatomy, ER, all these shows having to do with health. So with Contagion, they consulted with the WHO and they consulted with the CDC. That's how I thought it was, where arguably then big pharma went and said, hey, can we borrow that script? We're going to just throw it against the world and we're going to see how it hits, because you can see, it started in a wet market, China, patient zero, lockdowns, stadiums being turned into these FEMA camps, blah, 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 blah. But then I found Larry Brilliant. Larry Brilliant used to work for Google, used to work for the World Hoax Organization, is chummy with Fauci the fraud, and is also a vaccine deep state. So you have, I think it was in 2017 or so, definitely not 2020, where no, maybe it was actually 2015. Anyway, you have him on record, and I clipped this, saying, we decided to make the movie Contagion. Oh, who's we? Who is we? You didn't work for the WHO. Who's we? Yeah. You went to the CDC, you went to Hollywood, and you said you want to make this movie. And then he also talks about synthetic biology. He also talks about how they get better with every year, because Fauci was involved in HIV and H1N1 and SARS and Zika.
Responsible for the deaths of millions.
The death of millions. It's all an act. You mofo.
Yes.
And people care about what you have to say. And even I'm going to change because now it stopped raining. So I'm just going to, I don't know how you are with time. Just going to.
Don't worry about it. I haven't been keeping good track.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oops. Sorry, say that again.
I can hear you. I just said I could hear you. That's all I said.
Yeah, the rain.
Finally stopped.
The rain stopped.
Oh, good.
Yeah, for
okay.
now.
All right. Well, where were we?
We were talking about Fauci the fraud. I was mentioning this man, Larry Brilliant, and him saying on record that they went to to Hollywood. So Hollywood, as we are also seeing, is very much it's like they went and they said, okay, Tom, you're going to play a COVID-19 survivor. And you're going to make these tweets early on that say, I beat Rita by 201 points. Really? That's not a reference to Event 201, buddy? And then also I was watching Madonna, that I grew up with. And okay, check this out. So in one of her little videos, she has the fever gun. And again, I said that I predicted that they were going to criminalize the fever and the cough and weaponize the fever gun back in February. Okay, so I'm watching Madonna, and Madonna, her child, takes the fever gun, puts it to her temple, and looks at it and goes, 97.5. Is that normal? Well, early, I think it was in January, I reported on how there was a Stanford study, and the average temperature is no longer 98.6, folks. It's 97.5. So when I saw her say 97.5, is that normal? Then I'm like, hey, Madge, who's making your videos? Who's producing your videos? I swear, a week later, she announces that she's working for Bill Gates.
God. So that's, they do that kind of stuff all the time, just like they do with high blood pressure. They lower the level so that they can say you have high blood pressure to put you on medication. So it's like lowering your temperature so they can say you have a temperature, right?
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. And in any case, it's like, what? I have fever. I have the Rona? What are you talking about? Low-grade fevers are a good thing. Your body's doing a good thing. Now it's a crime. So God forbid if I don't sleep enough the day before the flight on Saturday, if my fever is somehow elevated, then I'm ixnayed from participating. And this is the normalization of pathology across the board, nonstop, and everybody has to just do their job. Mm-hmm. And everyone has to be compliant.
I'm just extremely disappointed in
humanity.
Humanity and the people that are in the health profession. Whether they be a doctor or a nurse, what is the matter with you?
What is the matter?
Why don't you have the fortitude to stand up and say, hey, this is not right? There have been a few, but too few, because there's strength in numbers, and we need the numbers. We need the unity. We need many coming forward. I was happy about the frontline doctors, but there weren't really very many of them, and they all got attacked immediately afterwards.
Yeah, I want to share something with you about that. Dr. Simone Gold will be at American Priority Conference, so I look forward to meeting her. But Dr. Stella Emanuel, when I saw Dr. Stella, I was like, oh my God, I want to interview that woman.
Did you love her or what? Oh my God.
I loved her, but I want to share something with you. So I reached out to her right away. And because I'm a small fish, meaning I don't work for the mainstream media anymore, when people ask me who I work for, I say I work for God, I work for truth. I told that to Dr. Stella. I didn't plan on it that being the right answer because she believes in God and she has her ministry, right? So I was very persistent. And I went to her Facebook page. And on her Facebook page at the clinic, and again, this is just like a red flag, it says if you have flu-like symptoms, you probably have COVID-19. Not even you probably have coronavirus. You probably have the disease. What? No. That's odd. You can go to her Facebook page and check the Rehoboth Clinic in Corpus Christi, Texas. And so then I got her online, and she was in her clinic, and I asked her if we could pray. I'm big into prayer, and I'll pray with anybody. I like praying. And we prayed, and then my first question was, how did you get involved? And then the connection was bad, so I didn't quite hear. The next day, she texted me, and she said she doesn't get a good feeling about spirit. It has nothing to do with you. I'm being told not to. So I said, may lightning strike me now if I'm not with God. The God tells you, she's hiding behind her Bible. God tells you that it's okay to interview with Fox and ABC and whoever else. Like, I don't understand. Okay, maybe she didn't like me. That's fine. But I said, who have you and I was going to set her up with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. I was going to set her up with Carrie Cassidy. And I said, who have you interviewed with alternative media? I don't know.
Wow,
I don't know. And, no matter what, HCQ, which has been used from the Chacona plant in 1638 from quinine, right? It's quinine. Then it was used in World War II, but they had to reformulate it because there was something very toxic. It's still allopathic medicine, Gail, and which is the third leading cause of death.
Yeah.
So yes, it's being politicized. It's not a prophylactic. Like, I know someone told me that they got from Dr. Stella's clinic that they're taking it. I'm like, well, the Rona's around the corner any day. Are you going to take HCQ for the rest of your life? No. I rather take quinine. I rather take Hercutin. I rather make sure I oxygenate. So that's fine. It's generic. There's over 200 brands. They want to crap on it because Orange Man plugged it and they hate Orange Man. So I get all of that, and I think it should be, I believe in informed consent, and I believe your body, your choice. It's not my choice, but I found that weird regarding if you have symptoms is probably COVID-19. That's not true.
I would agree, and I'm very surprised at that, because the reason that I was impressed with her was her little speech that she gave, and because she was very passionate about healing people and about that it wouldn't be that there's a cure. We don't need a vaccine, there's a cure, and the cure is the HCQ.
Well, she can say the C word with no problems. How is that? Well, she got censored, sure. Also, their Twitter pages, their Twitter accounts shot up. It's like, I've been doing this for how long, and I'm throttled. I'm throttled on Twitter. Also, she told me she's dealing with dying patients. I'm sorry, you don't give HCQ to the dying patients. You give it early on. That's why people like Cuomo made sure that the people are given the HCQ when it's too late. You have to take it in the first stages. And then it's like, oh, I'm using it for lupus. I reversed my lupus. I got my ANA levels back down to normal. They were off the charts. They were 640 when the range is between 0 and 60, and they were 640. I didn't use HCQ. There's many ways to reach Rome. To the MMS, we have Mark, who's a church, who's languishing, who's in jail in Bogota. His sons are in a Florida jail without bail because of MMS. And then they did the same here in Costa Rica. There was a headline that said MMS is illegal. This is following the same crap. You just don't want people to heal.
It's happening all over the planet. That's what's absolutely mind-boggling. And that they put people in jail that are actually healing people. It's very disturbing. I wish I knew what the answers were.
I don't know. I wonder how many people we've woken up, because you know what, Gail, if this doesn't wake you up, I really don't know what will.
Exactly. What concerns me is this is what if this vaccination actually goes through, or they start trying, because there's so many people that are ready to line up, okay? Yeah. Are we going to have to witness person after person dropping dead, dying because of the vaccine?
Will they stop it once the people, and maybe they'll be satisfied as scapegoats, the people that will run to get the vaccine? Will they be satisfied with the people that run to get the vaccine that are lobotomized or genetically modified?
Your sound level has gone down substantially.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just now?
I was just turning mine up to be able to hear you better. I mean, I can hear you, but it's definitely...
Hello?
Okay, that's better. Maybe
I just need to...
I don't know, you sound more at a lower level, volume level than you were before.
Even right now?
Now's okay. Yeah, now's good.
Okay.
Maybe gotta be closer to the mic. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's directional. I don't know. I'm sorry. Nothing's changed.
You don't have to apologize
for that. But I'll pretend
that.
I'm giving fellatio to the microphone. Sorry, I'm silly human.
Well, we need to laugh. Laughing is good for you. Keeps your vibration up.
Yes.
There's no
And I
lack
swear,
of fodder.
yeah, if it wasn't for my puppy dog, sometimes I don't know how I survive because she makes me laugh and it brings me great joy, and she's very loving, and she's all I got right now. But
Oh, bless you, Gail. I give you a virtual hug.
okay, thank you. You give me one back. I could see we could cry together very easily.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah. As an empath, I feel deep, and yeah, I'm looking for a tribe. Like, I am a woman. I'm not into the Me Too personally. Like, no offense, I'm not a feminist. I'm more traditional, and
so am I. I used to be at one time, but I figured out their game,
yeah.
and that's what it was.
How many people
really.
are being used? You know, like the White House siege is around the corner. I interviewed the editor-in-chief, who's Canadian. What do you have to do with besieging, taking over the elections? And you're calling upon, well, they did Occupy Wall Street Adbusters. It's the editor-in-chief of Adbusters in Canada, in Vancouver. And so I interviewed him. I interviewed him and I asked him, why, what do you have to do with the elections? And he got angry with me and he said, you're getting lost in the details. And then I got angry with him and I said, well, that's where the devil lies. That's where the devil lies. No one's paying. We're living in an age of mediocrity. We're living in people are half-assed, and details matter. Black Lives Matter because you're making money off of them. You know, and it's just like, again, like when I hear Biden and Kamala talk about George Floyd, I'm like, you guys are liars. You guys are liars. This is a false flag. It's a false flag. And it's Benji Crump, the one who represented Eric Garner, and now the other black man that is arguably also another false flag, but I haven't looked into it. And
I'm not familiar with that one.
the guy who got shot point blank 7 times.
Okay. Well, I can say this. I do know that what the media has been doing over time was setting this. I know of white people that have been shot and killed in horrific ways, and to say that it only happens to the blacks is a lie. It happens to browns, it happens to whites, it happens to yellows, it happens to reds, it happens to every race there is. There's just some...
It's police brutality. Sorry. Police brutality is a real thing. People power tripping. But to say this was race... Oh, by the way, Alexander Kang, he's black. The officer. These were rookie cops that were taking their direction from Chauvin, who worked with George Perry Floyd for 4 years at the El Nuevo. It's just coincidence the El Nuevo, La Raza radio station, Umar Sabri's properties, they all burnt down. I call it the Ozarks on COVID-19. We had 900,000 $1 counterfeit bills that arrived January 27th from China, as China was experiencing, we were experiencing our first ever historical lockdown where I think 36 million people. Meanwhile, Minnesota state intercepts 900,000. So we can say that there's a little bit of a counterfeit problem. And when you don't have a legitimate operation because everything's in suspended, everything's shut down. Who knows what was really happening? George, he was caught in 2019 where he said that he has a daily oxycodone sniffing problem, and he was caught with tons of controlled substances. And he also partook in a burglary where he was an accomplice while whoever he was with was pistol whipping a woman. And then you have Courtney, the supposed fiance, say that George was the most spiritual person that she knows. So that must make us, me and you are Mother Teresa. Nobody looks at the details, and then you have the whole country burning. And still burning? Is it still burning?
Yes, it is. Oregon is burning down. It's horrible. I don't know if you've seen any of the pictures, but I posted some on my Facebook page. I have a girlfriend who lives in Oregon, and she first alerted me to it that Oregon was burning, and it's burning really bad. And I feel sorry for the animals trying to escape, the people that need to evacuate, making more homeless people. Um, this whole scenario is so dark. It's just so disturbing. I just want to see more people come forward with the truth that they know, so more people can wake up. I don't know what the answer is anymore. I really don't.
I believe we are the silenced majority. Yesterday, Fauci was speaking to PBS, was it? I don't know. And was reading, I think they shut down the comments. And in reality, I think there's more of us than we realize, but they're keeping us. It's like 6 feet. There's no scientists. No, there's no science.
There's no science for the mask. There's no science for the 6 feet apart. And then there's the idea that, well, if you're got a mask on, why do you have to be 6 feet away? Or if you're 6 feet away, and you got a mask, what are you worried about? I just,
it's fear.
Yeah. And people, and then the other thing that's really disturbing, and we haven't even gone there, is that people are more concerned about if somebody else is wearing a mask than they are about all the missing children. That's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, I don't think people realize, growing up in the 80s, when I was a kid and I saw those milk cartons, and there was something so eerie and spooky. And I remember later, as a journalist, I was speaking to, I think the fellow journalist had done an expose on Scientology and had told me that he had covered pedophilia or sex trafficking, or child trafficking, and that came upon somewhere in the desert where there was tons of kids in cages. Now, this must have been 2002, 2002, because by the way, Gail, I used to write for the mainstream media. I wrote for Penthouse. I wrote for The Hollywood Reporter. I worked for MSNBC for more than a year covering the news at Channel 4 upstairs from the Jay Leno show. I wrote for Maxim. And then I made my movie, and I wasn't embraced. And on Del Bigtree, I shared that I wrote a story about technofascism and CBD, and I had to dumb down the story for Marie Claire. But I was ecstatic to get accepted by the MSM after writing for them. Mm-hmm. And then they called me at my home office, and you know what they asked me? They asked me, what are your personal views on vaccines? I'm writing about CBD. And they killed the story. They made some BS about the fact that illegally it was a threat because whatever I was saying about my business partner, which I scratched my head and I didn't realize it's because I write about vaccines. There was one article that we wrote about Merck in 2017.
They're evil.
The next day, my whole website was gone, literally gone. Luckily, I was able to revive it, call the server, which was in Germany at the time, and rescued the website. I can't prove anything. I can't prove that 2 times after being told that, better watch your tires, that 2 times on the freeway, my car has gone from 70 to 0. Just like that.
Oh my God.
And luckily, I didn't die. I can't prove anything, but I did when I spoke to one doctor, I think it was Dr. Rima, and I said, let me ask you, because she believes that her husband was killed.
Killed. I think he was too. I know her. I already know of her. I don't know her personally, but I know of her.
I interviewed Dr. Rima and I said, can I ask you something? Has anything funky ever happened to your car? And she laughed. She had cameras and they jammed the cameras, and she had a strange feeling, and she took the car to the mechanic, and he said it would have blown up within 20 minutes. So who knows? You can't prove these things. They arguably can throw my body in the jungle if they want, but then you go and you say, who the hell am I? I'm a little bee with a big mouth. Who cares about me? But you find out about these 80 oh yeah, all the 80 doctors, they've all suicided themselves. Yeah, right.
Right. Oh, and that was all over the that other substance, GMAC or
GC meth.
GC.
Yeah, which I've taken, by the way. I had to get it in a parking lot. Literally I don't know if I can say that, but yeah, I took it for the mold toxicity. I don't know if it helped me, but I'm grateful. For 2 years, Gail, I woke up 5 times every night. I have a Oura ring. I don't track my sleep, but I was tracking my sleep, and I'm the one that discovered it was mold toxicity, and that what was in my body was in my bathroom, penicillin, aspergillus. But I was getting about 16 minutes of REM every night. I don't even know how I operated. And it impacted my brain. I was smarter than this. I had better memory recall. I had better details. Like the fact that I couldn't get into the details of Google and their initiatives with drugs. I probably could have done that. So that upsets me because I'm all about inhaling as much as information as possible.
So am I. I'm an information junkie.
Yeah. Are you a Capricorn? What sign are you?
Well, I was born on the cusp, so I'm between Leo and Virgo, August 23rd. I never know what to say.
Moon and your rising?
Pardon?
You know your moon and your rising?
My moon is Libra. I don't recall what the rising yet, or the houses, all the different ones, or what have you. But do you do astrology?
I used to. I'm amateur. When I was studying for functional medicine coaching, they have a VIA survey, VIA. It's free. It takes 15 minutes, and it lists your attributes, your positive attributes in order. So you can leverage some lower ones. So there's like curiosity, love of life.
What are you? Which one are you?
My number one gift, strength, is love of learning, and then it's persistence.
Oh, that's a good one.
And curiosity, I think. I mean, I'm really a journalist by definition. I really like my business partner told me, stop blowing the whistle on things. You're not going to save the world. Just save people. Just work one-on-one. And I remember he told that to me years ago now when we started getting attacked. And I was like, I don't even know how to do that. I'm a journalist.
Yeah, no, that doesn't, I don't agree with him personally, but that's just
it's not happened. And this vaccine topic, which I said was like, is the topic of our era.
Yes.
It's something that I'm willing to die on the hill for. I'm not wishing death on myself, but
truth is truth. Dying for the truth.
Yeah. And it's like, spoiler, we die in the end, so why not live?
Yeah, why not be able to say that you did everything in your power to stop this, what's being purported here, Marxism, communism, slavery. People aren't doing enough. There's some people that are just waiting for this transition to happen where they're just, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a form of ascension, basically.
Yeah.
We're supposed to
in the Aquarian age, sorry.
Yeah, transition into the fourth and then into the fifth dimension. Well,
Just going to wait?
Yeah, that's what people are doing. That's what I find disturbing about the whole concept, because people are waiting instead of working on themselves and raising their vibration as much as they can, or participating in helping to wake others up and to be kind, random acts of kindness.
To be kind. I say that often, Gail, to be kind to one another. And you know, when I had mold and I raged against customers. I was a one-woman show, trying to save my company. I didn't know that I had mold rage, not to blame it, but I was often bitchy because I'm a mirror. You want to give me, I'm an empath. You're going to give me anger, I'm going to give it back to you. And I need to practice not getting triggered. But then I would call them back and I would say, I'm sorry. And I really would, people would realize that like even in relationships, like you want it to just be easy peasy. Yeah, sure, there should be harmony. But to think that your crap is not going to come up, that is BS. That's what relationships are about. And they're there to come up for us to heal. And if you could find someone that you genuinely love, that you genuinely see the same, like it's becoming harder and harder. Like on dating apps, there are people virtue signaling with a mask. Are you kidding me? Are you effing
serious?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to date you. Can't see your effing face, but I'm going to date you.
My
face
God.
diaper.
You know,
It's like, oh look, I'm social distancing. I'm like, why are you even on a dating app?
Oh my God.
So I just think, yeah, like I really, I'm very picky, and I really like, I really want to be in a partnership and to find a partner in crime and take on the world. And it's arguably become a lonelier place, and a lot of us who are awake, one, we're being forced to be separated from one another. I don't think people are in their hearts, but I'm all in agreement for more kindness. More kindness.
Random acts of kindness can work wonders for the world. And the other thing of it is people often are only care-minded for their immediate family, and it has to extend beyond that.
I'll try to remember that when I'm driving to the airport, because I'm going to have to be performing SEAL, and that's not my nature, and I get really righteous. So it's like, even I was saying, like, I feel bad when I crap on Fauci or like even Biden. And it's just to stay in our hearts and not forget our humanity, because we're really being dehumanized here. And they really must, I don't think they thought that it was going to be this easy. I didn't think it was going to be this easy. Look at how we've normalized pathology in less than a year. Like what? It's been 9 months since January? I don't know.
Well, it's like I don't have hatred toward them. I just want them to stop, because they're hurting people with their lies.
I have a little hatred towards them. I mean, I try not to. It depends on the moment. I mean, when you distill it, maybe I don't, but I'd like them to stop. I try to wish them well, and I need to, like, I almost got the police called on me at the bank, and I didn't handle myself right, and then I feel yucky. And as you can see,
I know the feeling. Been there, done that myself too. You know, sometimes I go, oh, why did I let it trigger me so much? Why didn't I handle it in a more kind manner, or a non-reactive manner? And it's hard to do, though. It really is. And I have my moments too when I feel almost hatred, like I wish they'd get assassinated or something like that. You know, it's just, and that's horrible to even think that way, but they're hurting so many people by their lies, because people are falling for it and people are buying it. And that is one of the things about humanity that has been our double-edged sword, I guess you say. We just don't think anybody could ever do that, but they can, and they do.
And people are power tripping galore. They're power tripping. Like, there's a woman in a mask, and she's like, "What makes you so privileged?" And the woman handled herself, because the woman wasn't wearing a mask, and she handled herself very well. She's like, actually, they're very unhealthy. And it's like, you're privileged too. Just, you know, it's like when I don't know if you've ever had this experience,
But when I got diagnosed with fibro and lupus, and you go into the hospital, and I was like, no, this is not my reality. Bye. And you just say no, and you just walk away. You walk away from that reality, and it's a miracle because you create magic in that moment.
Yes.
Taking reality on. Bye. And that's it. And you just say no. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like you can walk away, and again, it's like in the name of God, I command that this spell is broken.
Yes. Yes. It is a spell. It really is. It has to be. There's no other explanation for it. Why some are more susceptible than others, I do not know, and I don't get. Well, actually, I do. Probably is to a certain extent dependent upon how many, the GMOs that you eat, the number of vaccines that you get, where you live. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why, Gail, I'm scared. I'm scared to come back because there's so much uncertainty. The air quality. Where am I going to get my food? How am I going to exercise? I admit it. I'm scared.
I don't blame you. It's not nice here right now. Do you have to come back, or do you want to come back, or what's your?
I want to go to this event. I mean, I have 2 more days. I was going to call the airport, the airline now. I should wrap it up.
Yeah.
I've been talking to you. I'm sure you have other things to do. But yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah,
I would like to do this again sometime, and
I would love that. Thank you.
That would be awesome.
Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're very awake and very aware and very knowledgeable about many things, and I love speaking to people like that, because it helps wake others up, and it's a good thing. And I'd love to talk to you again. We'll do this again. You let me know when you get back into the country, and even if you don't, either way, it doesn't matter because we can do it like this. But let's stay in touch, and we can wrap this up now so you can take care of your business. And I'll get you a copy. And,
and I'll put it on my YouTube channel when I get out of the jail. You putting it on YouTube? Is that where you post?
I'll put it on YouTube, but I'm also going to put it on a website that I'm in the process of developing. It's just in a skeletal stage at this point. But I'll put the raw data on the site before I upload it to YouTube in case they don't like it, which they probably won't, but I don't really care. See, I'm not so big that they worry about me at this point. So
I'm not so big. I have 5,000 subscribers. I could have a lot more if I wasn't censored.
Oh, well, I'm shadow banned and censored too. I have just under 5,000 subscribers, so I figured that but I don't feel as targeted as from what you've said, but you've done some pretty awesome things. And sometimes they just want to keep that quiet because it's the kind of thing that
I think it's also not. I'm just saying maybe frequency, and I have a lot of fire. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's some people that I don't know. I have no idea. Bear is not to be messed with. Bear, come on, Bear is.
Yes. Okay. Well, you take them to task, and so that they don't like that, and so that's how that happens to people. And,
also, with CBD, the whole thing there is just to say is that they were developing their FDA-approved CBD Epidiolex for epilepsy, and that it's GW Pharma, and GW Pharma has an exclusive marketing agreement with Bayer. And so I would say, I like alliteration, I would say, well, what are the chances of sharing bees and bud with Bayer? I do. It's like, oh, here I am again, Maryam, hello. Because when we went to interview with Bayer, because it was not in the film, but I went to Bayer and I went to the EPA. They did not even allow us to record the conversation. And then on the way out, their offices is in North Carolina. I asked George, can you take a picture of the bear, the sign, just the sign? And they made us delete it on the spot. They made us delete our camera.
What
And
they're afraid of.
It's just control. It's just, and when I was interviewing with the EPA, the lackey who's towing the party line, the PR person was babysitting him. And as soon as my questions got a little bit heated, time to terminate the interview. And so we didn't put it in the movie. I mean, I would have liked to make a slightly different movie that was more Michael Moore-ish, more in your face. But nonetheless, we did interview them because people are like, why didn't you interview Bayer? Well, we tried. We tried. And Haagen-Dazs gave us $10,000. And then a couple weeks later, they're like, are you going to say anything about Monsanto? And we didn't directly say things about Monsanto. We were focusing on the systemic pesticides, not the GMOs. But then they completely distanced themselves from us. And they gave us the $10,000. They didn't do any promotion. I had footage from a commercial that Haagen-Dazs was doing for the bees. And I made sure that used their footage and overlaid it with a section about pesticides. Thanks, Haagen-Dazs. Also, Burt's Bees. Burt's Bees has tons of money, got bought out by Clorox for what, $900,000? You didn't do crap for us, Burt's Bees. We interviewed with you. And, they did give us product for many of, I'm sorry, I'll take that back. But as far as sharing our movie, because it's greenwashing. And I'm all about Robin Hood. I don't care. I'll take money from Haagen-Dazs and put it to good use. I don't care.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I asked for donations on my channel because I operate on next to nothing. And so it's difficult. And but I just keep going, and it's funny. There's more that I don't want to say on the show, and I'll tell you sometime when we talk. And but anyway, we can wrap this up for now.
Yeah,
And,
I see your heart and spirit. Thank you, Gail.
Oh, thank you. We'll do this again. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
sister.
your time. And
Yeah, bless you.
bless you too.